session at Form 1 Youth Dinner. Providing a safe, some of the things that we offer at MICA include providing a safe space for young people. Our vision is to see Muslims return to the state of Islamic excellence. And our mission here at MICA is to create awareness of Islam and impact Islamic culture and values on the Muslim for the improvement of contemporary society and in the cause of Allah. Some of the things we offer to members include feeding the soul, a safe space, economic development, leadership and competency, capacity building, passion for the deen, and positive social interaction. So for today's session, we have the topic for today is how self-awareness helps you to nurture great relationships. And for that, we have a special guest here, Lola Junos. She's a self-awareness and career coach at LYC. I'll briefly introduce her. Lola is the self-awareness and career coach and also the founder of the Career Village, where she helps women and Africans new to the UK job market to start or grow a fulfilling career in the UK. She also works as a corporate governance professional and assistant company secretary in London. Outside of her work, she's a mom of 2 and lives with her children in England. So Assalamu alaikum, Lola. Thank you for joining us today. Before I hand over to you to take us through the session, we're just going to run a quick poll, just asking the audience what they expect from today's session. So Zainab, if you can please just share your screen and share the link to the poll, so we can quickly run through that in about 5 minutes and jump straight into the session. Okay, so the link to the poll is in the chat box, www.menti.com. Zainab, can you also share the code? Okay, the code is also in the chat box. That's 26503873. So you can also drop your responses to what your expectation of today's session is in the chat box. I think that will be easier, so I can just read it out to everyone, and so we have an idea what everyone's expecting from today's session, and then we just jump straight into it. So please just go ahead and drop your expectation of today's session in the chat box.
Ma'am, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen. Please, if you are just joining, there's a link in the chat box, www.menti.com, and there's a code to access the poll. And you just have to drop what you expect from today's session on there. Or you can also respond in the chat box if that is easier. Just so we have an idea what the audience is expecting from today's session. Okay, we're just going to allow 2 minutes more for this, and we have to start the session. Okay, Zainab, you can stop sharing your screen. We'll just jump right into into the session rather. Okay, so assalamu alaikum, Lola Junos. Are you with us?
Yes, I am. Can you still see my screen? Yeah. Can you still see me on camera?
You are very clear. You're very clear. We can hear you clearly. We can see you clearly. I'll now hand over to you to share your screen. I know you have slides.
Yes, before I do, all right. Thank you so much, Miriam. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to everyone. Thank you, Miriam and the MyCAC team for having me. It's always a pleasure when I get an opportunity to speak with audience back home in Nigeria and across the world, because I know with this virtual event, we have people joining from everywhere. So Jazakallah khair, I really feel honored to be here. Before I go straight into the slide, let us get to know each other. When I do with your permission, when I do these trainings like this, I'm not here to just come in wearing the hat of, oh, she's a speaker, she knows it all. We're all adults, we're going to learn from each other. I'm just facilitating the learning process. I'm just here to share the little that I know, but I know you also have so much knowledge within you. So with your permission, I love for these sessions to be interactive. We have about an hour together to go through this learning process, and then we have about half an hour for Q&A, comment, interaction, whatever we want to do in that 30 minutes. It is for us to really take in those learnings and challenge ourselves, because it's easy to learn, to do a 1 hour webinar, and then we've all forgotten. How many of you have attended sessions where you go 1 hour, the next 2 days is all gone? Show of hands, just use the reaction button. If it's ever happened to you, use the reaction button. I can't see any reaction. Is it a yes? Is it a no? Mine is definitely a yes. So today we will make it a bit more interactive so we can remember. And then before I go to sharing my slide, because once I share my slides, I won't see your names or faces, even though I don't see anyone with camera yet. I wonder if anybody will be not brave, will be willing to share, to come on camera. No pressure if you want to, but if not, that's absolutely fine. But I would like to know where everybody is joining us from today. And I'll start. I'll tell you right now, I'm in Coventry. So please use the chat box and let me know where you're joining from. Coventry, England. Where are you joining us from? Please, let's use the chat box. Let's get to know each other. Let us know where you're joining us from today. Fatima Senisi is joining from Abuja. Miriam from Lagos, Nigeria. Mutia Tadedo from Lagos, Nigeria. Who else and where are you joining us from today? Great, I'll look at that as we go along. But thank you so much for being here. So I'm going to go on to share my slide now. And we've done that, so we've met each other. For those of us, let me just remind us, the topic is how self-awareness help you to nurture great relationships. So we will be talking about a few things around self-awareness and obviously how that will help us to nurture relationships. Can anybody, again, I want us to use the chat box, please. What do you think is the greatest relationship you can have? What is the greatest? Is it the relationship with Allah, with your parents, with your spouse? What is the greatest relationship you think that you can have? Miriam, if you could help me read some of the comments in the chat box, because I don't want to keep stopping and sharing my screen to be able to see that.
People are yet to share.
Okay.
So just to reiterate what she has said, can you please drop what your response to our question is in the chat box? What is the greatest relationship you think you can have? Is it with yourself? Is it with your spouse? Is it with Allah? Is it with your family? You know.
And the reason I asked that question is because one of the greatest philosophers in the world says, Aristotle said that knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. So what does it actually mean to know yourself? Because when we talk about relationship, I'll share a short story. A few months back on Instagram, I put it up. I said, what is the greatest relationship you can have with yourself? And I gave 4 options. I said, relationship with Allah, your creator, your spouse, yourself, your parents. So many people said relationship with Allah. So many people. And then I challenged that. Go on after.
Sorry, go on. Sorry.
No, did somebody share in the chat box the greatest relationship?
Yes, I was about to read those ones out. So someone has said with myself, someone else said the greatest relationships with Allah and myself. Someone said another person is with Allah because once I have this, every other one follows.
Okay. Sorry, let me just go back to where we were before. I love that. Those were some of the responses. That poll that I did on Instagram a few months back was one of the most popular poll. But what I want to encourage us to look at it from another lens. As Muslims, we all know that we're here to worship Allah. That's our primary responsibility. But sometimes, for me, my own journey in 2015, I began to know my creator more when I began to know myself. Because I started to ask myself certain questions. Why am I here? What's my purpose? Why am I Muslim? How can I be a better Muslim? That relationship was inward. It started from Lola Junos trying to figure out what is it that I'm about to contribute to this world. And it was that journey that led me to, oh, this is how we can be better Muslim. This is how this, because sometimes when we grow up as Muslims, we take a pray, fast. We take these things sometimes just that because they said I should do it. But for me, in my own experience, it was that journey of self-awareness, that journey of getting to build a relationship with myself that made me to realize that there isn't really a better way that works for me to nurture a relationship with Allah. And so knowing yourself is the beginning of all relationship, is the beginning of all wisdom, according to Aristotle. Some of us may agree, some of us may not agree, but that was how I found myself first, and then I found my creator. That is how it worked for me. So let's move on. The question then is, how exactly do you begin to know yourself? We've all heard, know yourself is the beginning of all we've done. I want self-discovery, self-awareness, but what exactly is the practical steps? And that's what we're about to go into now. What are the practical steps that can help us to begin to know, to help you to begin to know yourself? There are many ways to do that, but for the purpose of the time that we have, I'm going to stick to 4 ways. Number 1 way is to become aware of yourself. Okay, I need to stop sharing my screen so that I can, sorry, 1 second, to bring up some more interaction. Okay. I know it looks a lot better when you use a slideshow, but sometimes allow me to just flip between slide and this so that I can get some of the reactions. That really helps with the engagement. To know yourself is to be aware of yourself. But a lot of people don't, they just say, do yourself, discover yourself. What are the practical steps to doing that? One, and we'll look at it from 4 ways today: values, passion, fear, and vision. Values, vision, passion, and fear. There are many ways, but for the purpose of today, let's just stick to those 4 things. Is there any other way you think that you can know yourself? I want us to use the chat box, please. How else do you think you can start to know yourself? Rukaya, I love what you said. The greatest relationship is with Allah and myself. Thank you for sharing that. How do you think you can begin to nurture a relationship with yourself? What are some of the things you think you can do to begin to nurture a relationship with yourself? If anybody wants to share, please use the chat box and let us share. So I've said to us that self-awareness is one of the first steps to knowing ourselves, because how can you know yourself if you are not aware of yourself? If somebody should give you a gift saying, oh, I'm going to this, you're traveling from Abuja to Lagos, and say, take this box and help me give to someone in Abuja. I'm sure you ask the person, what is in the box? What am I taking? What do you want me to accept? I'm going to be traveling. What is it that you want me to give? It's the same way when someone says, know yourself. What is the self that you want to know? There are 3 selves. There is a self that is your authentic self. The youth, I think in Islam, we call that the fitra state. That's pureness. Especially we see this in children. Children are not afraid. You see a child trying to learn how to walk. The child is not wondering, if I fall down, they will laugh at me. No, the child is just trying to walk. That is our authentic self. And then there is the other self that usually we use the language ego for. What exactly is your ego? Your ego is that perception that you think the world should have of you. That perception you think the world should have of you. And that comes from layers of conditioning. But without going into that, some of us, maybe we're at the age where we want to get married. In our heart of hearts, we know the person, maybe I would rather marry this person. Well, you're afraid of what will mommy say, what will people say? How can I be someone that works at Google as a product owner and I want to marry a guy that doesn't even have a degree? Something like that. So you have that ego, that perception that I'm a successful person, therefore I need to marry somebody that is equally successful. It doesn't really mean that authentically that is what is true for you. So when you're talking about self-awareness, when you're talking about building a relationship with yourself and even with others, the first step is you have to know that you're building that relationship with that authentic self, not your ego, not what people think of you, not what your environment, your peer group, social media expects of you, but what you as an individual expect of yourself. So I want to read, B. Ali says, one of the ways to know yourself is by introspection. Absolutely, that is so powerful. Rukaya says, knowing who you are, identifying your strengths and your weaknesses. Super, and we're going to get to that. So let's go to the definition of self-awareness. There's so many definitions, but I love this one that I've taken from different things I've read. It sort of captures my opinion, my view of self-awareness. And what does it say here? Self-awareness at its core represents how clearly you know and understand yourself, how well you understand your values, passions, aspirations, vision, more importantly, worries and fears. Your worries and your fears, and how you fit into the environment around you. And then it goes on to talk about your thoughts, feelings, behavior, strengths, and weaknesses. And of course, the impact you have on others. That is an all-encompassing definition that we would not go into everything today. But the 4 things I want us to talk about will be vision, values, passion, and fears. And also slightly, I'm going to talk on fit with your environment. I know right now in Nigeria, as a career coach, I know so many people are thinking of moving out of Nigeria. I'm not about to talk about relocation now. But what I'm trying to say in this definition of self-awareness, when it says fit your environment, some of you have certain talents and potential. Maybe you're a tech person. Maybe you're a creative person. Maybe you're a writer. But you might find yourself to be in an environment, in this case, it could be the country you live in. It could be the job you have. It could be the external forces surrounding the environment you live in that does not allow that passion and talent you have to thrive. And that is what this definition is saying, that being able to recognize the fact that actually, as a creative person or as a tech person, this current environment, be it your situation at home, your work, your country, this external environment that I have does not allow me to optimize, to maximize this potential. Therefore, I need to remove myself from this environment to another environment so I can thrive. It's the same with marriage. Why you see marriages end, oftentimes it's because that person has become aware enough of themselves that, you know what, I cannot thrive in a relationship like this. It doesn't mean the person you're living is good or bad. It just means that person is aware. That's what's the power of self-awareness. That person is aware enough, regardless of what people may think. She too, she's traveling out. Oh, she too, she's doing this, she's doing that. But they are aware enough that not about what other people think, but what I want internally, my authentic self. Therefore, I need to remove myself to go somewhere else that I can thrive. That is what self-awareness involves. And I'm going to share with you a test of my self-awareness. Not recently, in 2018, I had a situation that really tested whether indeed I was self-aware or not. I'd gotten this job that I really wanted, great salary, great for my career progression. It was in alignment with the way I wanted my corporate governance career to progress. I'd gone in for that interview. I didn't have experience in most of the things they wanted me to do in that job because I didn't have that experience, but somehow I got the job. It was even far better salary than where I was coming from. It was a pharmaceutical company listed in, they're in America, they're in the UAE, they're in London, huge company with great potential. And then something happened. 3 weeks after I'd joined the company, I was in a board meeting. So they're a pharma company. They produce pharmaceutical products for all over the countries, all over the world. And in that meeting, they had invited a PR expert, public relations expert. And in that meeting, they were talking about how one of the drugs that this company produced has been used in the United States for capital punishment, that their drugs has been used to kill without people on death row. The first reaction I had was, oh my God. Now, whatever, I'm a lawyer, so I understand capital punishment and all that, but one of my core values, I will talk about values later, is humanity first. I honestly believe that what binds us together as human beings is far more than what separates us. Whether you're a Muslim, you're a Christian, as long as you have red blood flowing within you, I see you. To me, we are family. Except one day somebody comes and says, oh, actually, I have yellow blood. Then I might say no. But wherever I am, I live here in this country where, you see people, my childminder about 4 or 5 years ago, she was atheist. And subhanAllah, my sisters and brothers, I have met, since I moved to the UK, no, she was my childminder about 7 years ago. Since I moved to the UK, I have never met any human being that was as kind to me as this woman. She told me literally, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. What's the point of why I said that? To me, humanity first. So when I was in this meeting and they said they had, the company I was working with makes drugs they used to kill for capital punishment, it was totally against my values. It was totally against what I believe to be true about humanity. But here I was, this great career opportunity, but this company does this. So they constantly have to have PR people, public relations people to manage that. I think they've changed now because just before this, I Googled it and I think they put it on their website that they will no longer supply drugs to people on death, to government, US government for the purpose of death row lethal injection. It's called lethal injection. But for the next 3 weeks, 2 weeks actually, after I heard that, I was battling within myself. Do I stay? Do I go? Do I stay? Do I go? Eventually, I had to honor my authentic self. I had to honor what I believe to be true. I had to stick to my values. Because what is a value? A value is something you consider to be of central importance. A value is your internal GPS. Your value is that thing that guides you, that should guide you to make any important decision in your life. That is your value. It's like when you get into your car or you're walking, you check your map. Oh, I'm going here, here, here. This is how I'll get there. For those of us that use GPS, that is your value. Those are those things that should guide you that, when it gets to, as if, for example, one of our core values, if you're here in this space, will be Islam. You won't go because you find yourself living in America. It doesn't mean you eat pork, because your value is, I'm a Muslim, I don't eat pork. I'm a Muslim, and even though some people, they leave Nigeria, for example, they get abroad, they remove their hijab, right? That is because their value is not strong. Wherever you are, your value should stick with you. Whether you're in America, you're in the US, or in the UK, if you wear hijab and you truly believe that this hijab is a commandment from Allah, it should not matter where you are. But we'll leave that for another day. To the end of this story, the lesson I want us to take away is, I stuck to my value, I resigned, and then that is what happens. Allah then opens doors you don't even expect. I ended that contract towards the end of the year in 2018. It was in November. A week after, the company called me. Now, if you know anything about the UK life, nobody gives you £1 that you do not work for. It just doesn't happen. The company emails me, HR emails me after and say, you resigned, because the reason I gave was, I said there's been a clash of values. And for that reason, I could not continue. So when I had my exit interview with HR said they've never heard somebody resign as a result of clash of values. And I told her, I was honest. And she told me that my manager said, whilst it's sad for me to leave, I resigned close to Christmas. Nobody hires during Christmas. Therefore, they're going to pay me the December salary. I resigned in November. Therefore, they will pay me a 1-month salary for work I did not do, so that, because they assume I won't get a job in December, so that it can help me transition. In my life, I've never heard, everybody I know in the UK has never heard a situation where you resign and they say, we'll give you 1 month extra salary. Why did I share that story? That is the test of my self-awareness. Even at the time I resigned, because I didn't have another job lined up. I didn't know where the next paycheck would come from. But I had to honor what I knew of myself. I had to stick to my values. And then the impact of that year, that's why they said December, I ended up with 3 job offers in December, plus additional 1 month salary. That is what it means to honor, to be self-aware. Now I want to go to you. What are some of your own values? I will get to that. For who here knows some of their values? Just use the reaction button and let me know. Who amongst us here that you know that, oh, this is one of my values, this is one of my values. Please use the reaction box, use the chat box. Yes or no? Sophia, yes. Use the reaction box. Do you know your values? Yes. She raised her hand. Miriam, I think so. Is it a yes or you raised your hand? I'm not sure.
I think she might have meant a yes.
Okay. All right. So who else, if you know your value, use the reaction box or chat box, say yes. If not, say no, because the next exercise, we're going to do an exercise on values. Sahid or she says, yes, I know my values. Miriam says, I know my values. Thank you so much. Before we get to values, the first thing is vision. It's not in any particular order. I just choose to use it as this vision. I just choose to do it this way. Our vision really should be, each of us should be asking ourselves, what is it do I really, really want? And I emphasize really. Again, I'll give an example because I know right now in Nigeria, not everybody, based on being a career coach at the DMs I get about, I want to relocate. I know it's a lot of people, it's on a lot of people's mind. Now, what I want to encourage you to do is the fact that everybody is doing something, it shouldn't mean, oh, automatically I also do it. Because when we follow the crowd is often how we get lost, is how we disconnect, is how that self-awareness begins to leave us. Because we're thinking of, oh, maybe everybody is getting married, I'm 30. I don't really like that brother, I don't really like that sister, but at least he's a Muslim. At least he's God-fearing. At least he has a good job. But deep down, the self-aware you knows this is not the person you want to spend the rest of your life. Or perhaps because all your friends, they're getting married, your parents are saying, you are 30, you should get married. Each person's qadar is different. Have the confidence to be clear on what is it that I want. I encourage you after this session, find some quiet time today during the week and ask yourself, what is it do I really want? What does my self-aware, when I say my self-aware, my authentic self is interchangeable. I mean the same. What is it that outside of all this external expectation, outside of what my parents want, what my society expects of me, what my spouse expects of me, what my this and that expects of me, in your soul, what do you want? In your soul, what do you want? What career do you want? What kind of marriage do you want? What kind of lifestyle do you want? A lot of that, somebody mentioned introspection. It is when we introspect, it is when we quiet ourselves, when we take a break from the noise of the outside world, even sometimes the thoughts in our head, that we really are able to answer that. Some of you may have studied medicine, and maybe you did medicine because your parents said, oh, it's a good career, or you passed JAM. Now you spent 7 years becoming a doctor, but you don't see yourself becoming a consultant. You don't see yourself becoming that doctor, but you're afraid. Maybe that's what it is for you. So part of nurturing a good relationship with yourself, before you can even start to nurture with others, is getting clear on what you really want. I've talked about what values are. Now we're going to do our first exercise. Like I said, I need your permission to make this interactive. And so I'm going to keep quiet for 3 minutes and let you look at this value list. I've said values are those things you consider to be of central importance in the way you work and live. I've shared that one of my core values is humanity first. So that's why I had to leave a company where I didn't know at the time, but they do make drugs that are being used for death row in the United States. And that was so against my value. I couldn't do that. So I left. That was it. And afraid me that honored our values. So it's back to you now. We are 28 of us online today. Alhamdulillah. This is a list of values, just a random list of values from different places. I want us to look at this value and just pick 3. Any 3 that jump at you. Miriam, I'm going to give us 2 minutes to do this exercise. And I'll do a timer. So let us all please look at this value, pick 3, and then we'll talk about it. So 3 minutes, actually. 3 minutes, pick 3 values. And if you want to pick 5, that's fine. And then we'll talk about it, how that can help you to start to develop a better relationship with yourself. And I'm going to put a timer so that we don't spend more than 3 minutes.
So someone says, can you enlarge your screen? I guess it's not very clear.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Let me do that now. I'm gonna just sorry 1 second. I'm just going to do that now. Sort of. Oh. I don't know if that's better in any way, or maybe I can do a slideshow. Okay, that's our timer. So what we're going to do is, if anybody feels comfortable enough, that would be amazing, to unmute yourself and just share with us. So what I want us to do is, now that you've been able to identify at least three values, my question is, how do you want that value to guide you? I'll give you an example to make it easier. So for me, my value was humanity first. So it means that any other work I need to do, obviously after that job, every time I'm going to look for a job, I make sure I Google them. I make sure they're not doing anything that is contrary to my value. Obviously, I never applied to companies that do alcohol, because I know as a Muslim, I wouldn't do that. But who would have thought a pharma company would be harmful? I've never applied to any company or tobacco company like British. It's not part of my value. So now that I know that, sometimes pharmaceutical company can do this, that now guides me in my job search. Second example, one of my other values as well. Let me share for a minute. So what I have if you can see let me see if you can see me. So this is my notepad that I use daily. And on the front sheet, I've stapled this little white paper. If you can see a little bit from the screen, that is my value. So I take it everywhere with me, just to give me that constant memory. So if some of you could please either unmute yourself or use the chat box, please share with us some of your values. Oh, okay. Some of you are, nice. Okay, Miriam says calm, empathy, loyalty, spirituality, personal growth. Rukaya says integrity, spirituality. Are you able to read it to us, please? Rukaya, please unmute yourself. Feel free to read what you shared in the chat, but if that's okay. Mutia says family, fairness. Mutia, what do you mean by fairness? When you say fairness, could you expand on that? Beautiful, beautiful. That is what it is. When you start to be aware of these values, the idea is every time, Baba today, I'm going to say self-discipline. I wish that was actually one of my values. To be disciplined. I'd say I want to do this. I'm going to make sure I don't eat after 6 p.m. every day, but it doesn't always happen. But it's brilliant that we're all sharing this. That's the whole purpose, so that we leave here today and you remember that these are some of my values, and I'm going to do my best to make decisions that align with that. Mutia says, thinking about what happens to others with my action or inaction. Mashallah, that is such a beautiful quality to have. Sophia says, comfort, respect, and justice. Sophia, thank you for sharing that. If you want to unmute yourself to expand, please do. If not, that's fine. Alhamdulillah. In the interest of time, I'll move on to the next. Remember, what we're talking about is how to start to know ourselves, how to start to develop a relationship with ourselves, how to become more self-aware. And as said, we're using 4 ways today. There are many ways to begin to nurture, to build self-awareness and nurture relationship with yourself and others. Vision, values, passion, fear. So number 2 is passion. And I know a lot of us, we've heard the term, what are you passionate about? What are you passionate about? Rather than do that, because sometimes it's actually challenging to answer, what am I passionate about? What is it? It takes a high level of self-awareness for you to be able to say, these are my passions. And our passions evolve as we grow in life. One way that I usually use with my clients, and that someone used for me, I was like, wow, I read it in a book, actually, one course that I was doing. If you've been asked to give the most important speech of your life, what will you talk about? I know what I'll talk about. So I want to hear what you will talk about. You've been asked to give the most important speech of your life. What will you talk about? You have been asked to give the most important, this is your audience, this is your theater, and you have been asked to give the most important speech of your life. What will you talk about? I will speak on goal setting. That is one of the ways for you to figure out some of the things you're very passionate about. So as Olawoye said, I'll speak on goal setting. The ways for you to start to, I'm sure, Olawoye, can I ask, are you someone that usually sets goals in your own personal and professional life? Because the things we're passionate about, it's not just for us to say, well, I'm passionate about X, I'm passionate about that. It's about being passionate about something that you incorporate into your life regularly. That is how that relationship with yourself begins to deepen. Because the whole idea is, remember, we cannot build an authentic relationship with others when we are not aware of ourselves. It's an inward journey. It starts from us first and then extend to others. Allowing says, because it remains a compass to take you to your next level. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. The third way is, actually the last one, is fear. Now, is there anybody here that is fearless? If you are fearless, just let us know. Because I've never seen any human being that is fearless. We all have fears. If you are someone that has a particular fear, please use the chat box or the reaction and let me know. I have so many things that I'm like, oh, if only I could. If only I could. But one fear, one worry is holding me back. Someone says feeling trapped. If you have any fears, just yes. Most of us have fears, but what are fears really? Fears are unproved stories we tell ourselves. A lot of the time, fear is just imaginary. Most of the time, there are some fears. I'm not talking about the fear of I see is something that looks like a snake. That is a real fear. I'm walking, I see something that looks like, that is a real fear. That is adrenaline. That is a natural reaction. But a lot of when I say fear in this context, in terms of getting to know yourself, part of knowing yourself is to recognize those things that hold you back. Those worries, I'm too young to do this. I'm too old to do this. I'm not slim enough. When I lose this dress size, I'll be able to. Fear of poverty. Exactly. Rukaya says fear of poverty. A lot of people someone sent me a message on LinkedIn and said she just paid £28,000 for a master's and she's just feeling so terrified because that is her entire life savings. But she really is so afraid of the way the country is, and she's decided to put all her life savings, £28,000, in a master's program to help her hopefully avoid fear of poverty, fear of this, fear of what is making her leave. She reached out to me and said, I am so afraid that what if this £28,000 I paid leads to nothing? £28,000, I don't even know how much that is in Naira. Even to those of us that live in the UK, that is a lot of money. So there is the fear of the unknown. In our situation, is fear of the unknown. What if? What if it's not worth it? Some of you want to go to Canada, but you're so afraid. What if? Some of you want to marry or not marry. There's so many fears we have in our head. Someone says fear of hypocrisy traits, not practicing what I preach. Absolutely. Recently, I had a fear that I had to overcome. So some of you may know me from Instagram. I've been quite active on Instagram. I'm passionate about career, helping people create a career that is purposeful, profitable, and impactful. And I'll be sharing it on Instagram. But guess what? If you want to talk about career and you really want to help people build careers, between Instagram and LinkedIn, which one do you think is a better platform if you want to talk strictly about careers? Of course, it's LinkedIn. I've always known that. For 2 years, I've always known that it's definitely LinkedIn when you want to talk about careers, the kind of careers I want to talk about. A better platform is LinkedIn. Saeed says it's LinkedIn. If I want to sell, when I was selling hijabs, if I wanted to sell hijab, definitely Instagram, right? So each platform has different audience. But guess what, my brothers and sisters, I was so terrified of LinkedIn. Oh my God. I was like, my manager at work would see it. My colleagues will see it. Everybody will see it. They will think this. I had all these made up stories in my head. What if? What if when I want to get a new job? What if this? What if that? But I know in my soul that if I really want to help people to create a career that was purposeful, LinkedIn is the best place. So in January, in December, I started self-talk. You can do it. It doesn't matter. You can change your bio, you can change your profile, you can do this, you can do that. I was so afraid of being my authentic self on that platform because I felt I'll be judged and all sorts of unproven stories I was telling myself. Just to keep it short, the lesson of that is eventually in January 10, I posted and started sharing about career. Between January, at the time I posted, I had just about 1,000, maybe 100 followers or connections, as they call it on LinkedIn. Today, I have about 4,700. That is addition of about over 3,500. And on limitless DMs about potential customers. Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? Can you do that for me? How much do you charge for this? Why do I share the story? Is because sometimes all we have to do is take action towards the thing we're afraid of. Sometimes all we have to do is take a little step, a small, simple step towards that thing you're afraid of. Success comes at the end of our comfort zone. Most success is at the end of our comfort zone. And when we do the things we're afraid to do, again, talking about these mental fears we give ourselves, most of the time, that's when true success comes from. And that is the height of awareness. It's for you to be aware that, yes, I'm afraid of this, but I know if I do this, it can give me 10x results. The question is, will you face your fear? Will you face your fear to achieve the things you want to achieve? Saeed, please ask the question. Said, do you want to unmute yourself to ask the question or you want to type it? Said or Shin says in the chat box, I want to ask a question. For those of us, I just realized we're live streaming as well. So it's necessary to mention that. Said, do you want to unmute yourself or do you want to put it in the chat box? What will self-awareness give you? Okay, Said, please unmute yourself. Miriam, if you need to unmute Said or Shin, please let him speak.
Sorry?
Said in the chat box says he wants to unmute himself to ask his question.
Oh, okay.
Yes, hello. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum
Can you hear
salam
me?
wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, this is a wonderful section. I'm very happy and delighted to be part of this section. Yes, I'm passionate about, because I'm an agripreneur, a social agripreneur, and I'm very passionate about food security in terms of, what is happening in terms of solving food security. But for the past some years now that I've been in this entrepreneurship journey, there have been a lot of challenges, and when you are passionate about things, your family or people around you might not see what you see. So, they'll be like, okay, this is not giving you what you want in terms of maybe financial balance. Why don't you look for alternative? Like, okay, maybe traveling out of the country, maybe that is where your passion can be fulfilled. And so now, when you talk about fear, there had been a lot of suggestion about this issue. You talked about relocation, yeah. But my fear is that is it possible that when you are passionate about something and some suggestions come in, you might lose that passion, just like what you were saying about losing focus about your values. Is it possible? Because a lot of suggestion, okay, why don't you just leave the country? Maybe that is when you can really fulfill what you want to do. But for me, I don't see it like that, because, it is a sector you have to be on the field, or you have to be around to monitor or supervise some certain things. So now, taking that suggestion, I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my purpose, my passion for agriculture. You understand? Okay, family say you should travel, you should leave the country. The country is not sustainable enough. There's high risk in agriculture. Yes, there's a high risk in agriculture in Nigeria compared to advanced country. But I'm now thinking inward that, okay, maybe if I move out there, I'll be able to learn how to de-risk this passion. But this fear is still in me that if I leave, I don't think I'll be able to, So I don't know how you can help me to really put a perspective or a clearer understanding to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sahid. That is such an amazing question. And I'm sure that question resonates with all of us, whether you're an agripreneur or not. We all have this fear of unknown, and then all this extra, and this is all that we've been talking about. Other people's opinion of how we should live our lives. Well-meaning, a lot of times, is out of love, not out of they want to derail us. So to specifically answer your question, if you're in the beginning, we talked about the definition of self-awareness. Part of that definition involves your aspiration, the aspirations you want for your understanding, a clear understanding of the aspirations you want for yourself, and also the environment within which you fit in. That is also a key part of awareness. So to look at your question specifically is, what your vision for your passion is, where you want to take it to. I hear food security. Anywhere in the world, people eat food. There is no place in the world that they don't eat food. Sometimes our passion will evolve as we evolve as well. In the UK, for example, my children love McDonald's so much, but most of the McDonald's, in fact, maybe 99% of the McDonald's store, they don't offer halal meat. And I always wondered, like, why can't they just sell halal burgers? Maybe there's some agripreneur somewhere that is yet to approach McDonald's and give them a deal they cannot say no to. Because of course, there are other stores, Subway, KFC, they have halal burgers, halal stuff. So why McDonald's? Why do I share that? Sometimes we need to live outside the environment to see how our passion can evolve. But the self-aware Saheed, and after this, I hope after this 1 hour, you should have some level of self-awareness to be able to decipher what people are saying to me, maybe go abroad, maybe do this, maybe do that. You should be able to hear your own inner knowing. What does Saheed really, really want? Where can Saheed fulfill his passion? And all of us, where is the best environment for us to thrive? Where is the best environment for us to bring this passion to life? And make sure the voice you're listening to is not the voice of fear. Because remember, our brain biologically is designed to keep us safe. When we want to do something we've not done before, our brain will be telling us, the last time you did it, you failed. The last time you invested 1,000 pounds to buy shares, you lost all that money, remember? That is our brain, and is the way it's designed. There's a dog coming on the other side of the road, you better run. You know how I am afraid of dogs, and if you live in this country, so as I'm walking like this, if I see a dog, the dog has not seen me, I've sensed the dog, I have crossed the road, right? That is my brain, because my brain knows that Lola, dog, run. But sometimes it's also the voice of fear. Our soul, your soul, Saheed, in your heart of heart, honestly, you know what you want. Most of us do. But again, it's fear that holds us back. So what I'll say to you is spend some time to really figure out, where can this passion take me to? What are the different layers? Food security, does it only have to be in Nigeria, in Africa? If not, what are the other ways? Where is the ideal environment to bring that passion to life? And only you, Saheed, will be able to answer that in the most honest way. Okay? Thank you so much for muting yourself to ask a question. So what will self-awareness give us? I'm not going to go into that because I've already used Saheed's a beautiful question to answer that. That's what self-awareness, two things self-awareness will give you: confidence and courage. Confidence and courage. I shared that story about LinkedIn. My sisters, my brothers. After I overcame that fear, now I'm posting on LinkedIn like 4 times a week, 5 times a week. Things that before, if I wanted to post something that is not about job, I will type and type and type out. Eventually, I will not post it. I'm like, this one that my manager I work with. Now I'm posting without even thinking about it. That's number one. It gives you confidence. Now I'm confident to just go there and just share and just be myself. And then courage. Courage, because if I never had, you remember the solution to fear is action, no matter how small. Just take that little action. Because when you take that little action and then people react positively to it, it gives you confidence. That post that I shared on the 10th of January, what I didn't tell you about that post was it ended up going totally viral. As at yesterday, that post has had over 200,000 views. That is the power of taking action towards the things we're afraid of. And as we wrap up, because I'm conscious of time, we have to wrap up in 5 minutes so we can go into the Q&A properly. As we wrap up, how can self-awareness help you to nurture a better relationship with others? In the beginning, I referred to the Aristotle quote that says, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. When we say nurturing relationship with others, my sisters, my brothers, I want to tell you categorically today, based on all my experience in studying self-awareness, the first relationship is the one you have with yourself. And for some of you that have the view that the first relationship is the one you have with your creator, either way, whether your creator, let's say with the creator and yourself, we cannot have an authentic relationship with our parents, with our potential spouse, with our current spouse without having a relationship with ourselves. If you don't have a relationship with yourself, the relationship, even with your creator, will not get to the level you want it to get to. The reason some of us say, oh, I'm going to take all my money and go for Hajj and go for Umrah is because we've reached that level of awareness that instead of traveling to Dubai, I want to use this to worship in service of Allah. I want to use marriage as an act of worship. It all starts from within. So we start from having a relationship with ourselves. And I gave us 4 examples today. Our vision, having clarity. What exactly do I want in my life, in my career, in my marriage, in my health? How do I want to look? There's so many. We need to be clear. What do you really want? You've got one life. What do you want to do with that one life you've got? That's vision. Then I talked about values. That internal GPS that should help you to guide important decisions you want in your life. Then I talked about your passion. What is that one thing that you cannot stop talking about? And how are you going to ensure that you do it? I can wake up and I love training. I love helping people. This is me being my authentic self. I love doing these things. And I do my best to create space in my life for the things that I love to do. That's your passion. Go away today, think about the things that come natural to you and make time for it. Whether it gives you money or not, make time for the things that give you passion. A lot of people end up meeting their spouse, their soulmate, by following their passion because they are doing things they are passionate about. They attract the kind of people that believe in what they believe in. And finally, we spoke about fear. And I gave you the story of how my fear of LinkedIn today, I'm a mini superstar because I've had 2 viral posts in just 5 weeks. I was on Instagram for 2 years talking about career. Maybe we were able to increase our followers to 1,005 in 2 years. And in just 5 weeks, subhanAllah, 5 weeks on being on LinkedIn, we've increased our connection to over 3,005. Imagine 3,500 in 5 weeks and 1,500 in 2 years. Imagine if I'd conquered that fear 2 years ago. Who knows? Well, alhamdulillah, there is time for everything. So my sisters and brothers, I don't know what it is you're afraid of, what might be holding you back. Maybe it's fear of unknown. Whatever it is, just give yourself that little courage to take action towards that thing that is holding you back, that you're afraid of. Since we have questions now, I'll remove that slide. And I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, everyone. How many of us are here now? Thank you for having me. This is my 2nd time speaking at Micah, and alhamdulillah, it's always a pleasure to be here. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much, Sister Lola. It's so good having you here. Thank you. Please kindly drop your question and answer.
I just realized I was muted and I was talking. Yeah, I was saying thank you for joining us today. I'm sure everyone here has learned 1 or 2 things that they will apply to their life when they live here. So Jazakumullah Karen for that. If we have questions, please can you drop them in the chat box so I can read them out and we can take them. Okay, someone said, Jazakumullah khairan, giving me food for thought. Another person said, I think they have a question. So, question here is, what are practical tips to conquer your fears?
The most practical tip, action, like Marie Folio said, action is the antidote to fear. What you're afraid of, the most practical tip, I call this SSS. So what I tell my clients is small, simple step. Small, simple step. What is that small, simple step you can take towards your fear? And the person that asked the question, if you want to share maybe some of the fears that are currently showing up in your life, if that's okay, and I'm happy to give you some practical tips, but generally SSS is the key word. Action is the antidote to fear. Look for the small, simple step you can take towards that thing. Not feeling qualified. Qualified for jobs, for work. Tell me more, Miriam, please. Right. Oh, that sounds to me like an imposter syndrome. And this is what I'll share with you. A lot of times we feel we need to have reached a certain level of success in our journey before we can help others. That is not true. That is not true. Why do I say that? Miriam, I had the exact same fear. And you know what that fear cost me? £5,000. Because when I started career coaching about 2 years ago, I felt, the reason I actually started career coaching was because I was in a job that I didn't like at all. So I got someone to coach me. And then the coaching that was 3 years or so ago. And I was like, wow, there's something called values. I need to share this. I need to share this. But I couldn't, because in my mind, I'm in a job I don't like. Who am I to be helping other people figure out? I'm not certified. I'm not a career coach. I'm not qualified. I ended up going to do a coaching qualification, which I'm very grateful for. That's the one that I said I paid $5,000 for. I'm so grateful for it. But honestly, after that coaching program, I realized I already had enough to help people. I did that. I could have just approached that coaching course as something I just want to do. But at the time I started, I felt I needed that course before I can help. Miriam, no, you already have something within you. Guess what? There are some people there are different journeys in life. So if I'm trying to make my first £1,000 online, for example, I've never made $1,000 online before, doing something online. And then I find someone on Instagram that is talking about how they made $1 million online. That person is too far away from me. I don't want to listen to that person. But I see a Miriam Oladosu that said, last year I made £2,000 and we can see that she's not lying. That is more relatable. Okay, she was able to make 2,000. I'm trying to make 1,000. I don't want the person that is talking about to make 1 million. No, I just want someone that is 1 step, 2 steps ahead of me. Or guess what? You don't even have to be ahead of me. You just want to come and say, I'm trying to make $1,000 online. How can we help each other? So we don't always have to feel I have to be certified. There are certain things, of course, if the law says you have, like immigration advice. So many people come to me for immigration advice because I live in the UK and I did law. It's illegal to give immigration advice. That is not me. If I want, do you understand? So except there is a legal requirement that says you have to be certified to do this then. But Miriam, no, you're already qualified. You've made progress in your own life. The little you have, I almost feel it's not just ibadah, it's almost like a responsibility for you to share. The reason we go through certain things in life is because Allah has selected you. Allah has selected you to go through certain things. And what will be the purpose of going through it if you don't share that with others? If you don't use it to help others? You're more than qualified. You have all that it takes. And to talk about Fajin BC, I'm sure we all know her. She's one person I have so much respect for. Why? That auntie went through so much. She even wrote a book about marriage. Imagine if she went through all that and she just kept it. I'm not remarried yet. Before she was sharing her story, even before she got remarried. She was doing book tours. She could have felt, wait, let me wait until I marry again before. No. You go through what you go through so that you can help others. And you don't need a certificate for that.
Thank you so much for that. I feel like everyone is really inspired by that response. That just made everyone feel like, yes, I can do it. We have another comment here. It's a bit long, so I'll just read it. It says, it's from Rukaya. I'm a fashion designer, not like I like the idea of living abroad. All I've always dreamt of is going and coming, but I just want to leave because of the fear of being broke, as Nigeria is really becoming difficult. But my friends and family have always been telling me that I'm doing good and I can be better in this country. Now I've realized that the only reason I want to leave is because of money. This is an eye-opener for me to keep working and sewing in Nigeria. Thank you so much, Mom. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, I have to respond to that. Miriam, is that okay for me to respond briefly?
Yeah.
I love your comments. See, I stopped, those of you that know me on Instagram, you know I'm so passionate about Nigeria and Africa development. And for like a few years ago, I used to discourage people from traveling out. I actually started a blog that I never shared called The Reluctant Immigrant. That was how much I didn't like it in the abroad, as we say. And so, Rukaya, what I'll say to you is, yes, most people may be traveling out, but people don't talk about the challenges of living abroad. On LinkedIn, I started sharing some of the real life issues people go through. Subhanallah, mental health. I'm not here to tell you not to do what you want to do, but I'm here to tell you, if you want to go, but be prepared that the first few months, years, may be tough. But if you don't want to go and you want to stay, but please know you are staying with common sense. Now, I'll tell you categorically, as someone that lives in the UK, it's easier to make money in Nigeria. Write that down. It is easier to make money in Nigeria. Two quick reasons. If money is what you're thinking about, Nigeria is the only country that I know that maybe because your uncle knows someone and knows someone, you get one contract, boom, you've arrived. In England and places like this, every single pound you work for. Number two, Trisha B's is someone I've done her course before. When I did Trisha B's course, I'm sure a lot of you will know Trisha B's. I don't know her as a person, but I did one of the courses, Monetize Your Knowledge online course. I paid, I think, $400 for the big package. When I did that course last year, there are about 400 of us on that course. Please help me calculate $400. Or if you did the other package, she does that course like how many times a year? Please help me calculate it. My sister joined a master class. My sister paid 1.5 million naira for her master class. There were like 60 of them in 1 year. Help me calculate it, my sisters and brothers. So when you say there is no money in Nigeria, I'm just like, okay. Miriam, I think Miriam lives abroad. Those of us say, it's not that easy. So while you might want to leave, even if you decided to leave, you know how they say, put one leg here, put one leg there. Nigeria has huge potential for money. And anywhere there is a lot of problems, there is opportunity to maximize that potential. Here, before you can think of something people will pay for, maybe it's like Sahid that wants to provide halal burgers, because everything works. But in Nigeria, you can just think of this and that with the right resources, and then it can become something that empowers you economically.
Thank you so much for that. There's another question here from Tawheed Ukola. It goes, please, could you throw more light on what you intend to fall back on in terms of sustainability when you resigned from your company? Was it family support or savings, etc.?
I love that question because, see, I'm a risk taker. I'm not gonna lie. At the time I was married, so I knew that rent was covered, but I still had my responsibilities. So again, sometimes abroad, unfortunately, couples have to split the bills. It's not because my husband is not a good person, but the reality is most times one income is not enough. So at the time, the plan was he pays the rent and I do other things. So I had a few savings, and I had said to him, if I'm going to leave this job, the things that I'm supposed to do in the house, at least I have 2 to 3 months to do it. Okay. I didn't have anything to fall back on other than the skills I have. Again, that's the beauty of this place. I know here there's always a job to do. That's the truth. Whether you like the job or not is another thing. Worst case scenario I thought about is Christmas period. If I don't get my company secretary job in December, I'll go to M&S and say, can I come and work here? I'll just go to the shopping center, and there's always Christmas jobs to do. Obviously, that wouldn't be what I want to do, but that was a fallback option for me at the time.
Yeah, I think that answers the question, because it's much easier to find. You can even do hospitality jobs. Those jobs are very easy to get, and they do pay decently. I mean,
yes,
but in Nigeria, it's different to find. You can't find a job like that. And if you do find jobs like that, they pay very little.
Yeah, but that is why those of you living back in Nigeria, I don't feel it should be, I feel it should be non-negotiable for you to have something you do outside of your day job. Honestly, all of you that are here, you have a skill, you have a passion, have something that brings in, no matter how small, that you can always fall back on. People, for example, I paid a girl in Kenya last week to help me update my LinkedIn profile. I paid her $150. Because when I reach out to someone in the UK, just to write my bio, my headline, the lady I reached out to in the UK, they were giving me £700, £800. I was like, it's not rich like that. I'm not paying that kind of money. But I reached out to someone in Nigeria, 2 or 3 people in Nigeria. I said, I have $150, but someone to just help me. I've already written it, just audit it. Does it have the right keywords? All the 2 people I reached out to Nigeria, they were giving me story. Like, I don't know how to, I said, use me as an example, figure out how to do it. I'll pay you. When you use my own, put it on your website that I did this profile. I now charge $100 per profile. I can guarantee you that you get people from, maybe not in Nigeria, at least 5 people every month that will say, take $500, do my profile for me. So those are the things I will encourage you to forget. Your day job is there. Even if you work at Unilever, you're a manager at MTN, have something, because that's your real security. Nobody can take your passion from you. And you don't need permission to use your passion, to monetize your passion.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that. Jazakumullah, Karen. I feel like you have definitely dropped a lot of gems today from the comment section. I'm sure you also can see that you have impacted a lot of people. May Allah continue to reward you, may give you more opportunities like this to share the knowledge that you have, may give you opportunities to grow your knowledge and your skills and your passion. We're very, very happy to have you here, Micah, and we hope to see you another time. So before we round up, we'll have another poll, just like we did at the beginning, just to ask the audience what they have learned from the session. So Zainab. Are you there? Can you share the link and the code and also share your screen so we can see? Okay, so can we just do this in chat box? So quickly just drop what you have learned from today's session in chat box. So what you have learned from today's session, just drop a comment in the chat box and we'll just quickly run through it and close the session. Also, Micah is also in the process of onboarding new volunteers. And if you are interested in volunteering for Micah, please, Mariam has dropped a link in the chat box for you to register. So we're just going to allow 3 minutes for the feedback on what you have learned and close the session. So someone says, to be deliberate about my decisions, be guided by values, passion, overcoming fear. Thank you, Safia. Please share, let us know what you've learned. In several problem areas, there are opportunities as well. From Babatunde, great, thank you. Said says he's learned values, overcoming fear, purpose, and I got some ideas. Great. Okay, I think we'll just leave it at that so we don't take too much of your time. Before you go, can you please just give us a closing prayer and
Miriam, is that me?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. What? Sorry. What did you say? Can I what?
I was saying before you go that can you just give us a closing prayer, a quick closing prayer, and we'll just round up the session.
Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to everyone again. Firstly, all thanks to Allah, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, that we all get the opportunity virtually to connect, to share, to learn from each other. I pray that all that we have learned today is beneficial to us, not just in this moment, that is beneficial to us as we go on with our lives. I pray that all the dreams and aspirations you hold in your heart, that may Allah make it easy for you to accomplish them. And all the concerns and fears that you may have, I pray that you have what it takes to overcome them. I wish each and every one of us all the success we wish for ourselves. And I pray that Allah guides us to remain on the straight path forever. Ameen.
Jazakallah khairan once again, and assalamu alaikum. And thank you to the audience too. You guys have been great. Thank you for joining us.
Someone asked on my LinkedIn profile, my name is Lola Junos everywhere. So I look forward to connecting with most of you online as well, all of you online. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.